So I wanted to try making this video outside. I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear me with the wind and uh, all the birds chirping and stuff like that, but I thought I'd give it a shot anyway. Um, so this time last year, I was in treatment. I went to the Phoenix Recovery Center down in Surrey, BC, and it was probably the best decision I had ever made in my life. I am coming up on my 2-year cake, I guess. July 1st is 2 years. And I had already been clean for 8 months or 9 months before I even got to treatment. And I was able to stay clean during those 8 months by going to see a doctor and getting on Suboxone. And, because I wasn't strong enough to go through the withdrawal process that you go through when you're quitting heroin. So I really thought I was doing myself, and I think I did. I did myself a big favor by getting on Suboxone. It, it got me stable, and then once I was stable, I was able to take in the information that I needed in order to start living a life that was quite a bit healthier, and I was able to be present in my own life, because that's essentially, if you're stuck on heroin, crack cocaine, all the good stuff that I was doing. It's funny that I call it good stuff, but I didn't want to be present in my own life, and at the time, really, I didn't even know that. I thought I was just, I don't know. I guess it never really crossed my mind as to why I was doing what I was doing. But, so Suboxone, it got me to a point where I could start listening to what people who had been through what I had been through, I was able to take their advice. And sun therapy, walking, I did dialectical behavioral therapy, DBT, Wise Mind, existential therapy, what else? Inner child work was huge. Lots of inner child work, because a lot of the trauma that we have in our lives comes from our childhood, and at least it did for me, right? And if you haven't dove into inner child work at all, you might want to look into that, because it really did help me. I, at a certain point, completely forgot what living life was, what it meant, how good it could be. And I got, a relatively decent yard. I live out in the country, and I'm a very fortunate person, and I had completely forgotten that, and I spent a lot of time hurting myself and the people I loved. But so when the time came, I got to about the 2-year mark and realized, well, wait a minute, now I'm addicted to Suboxone, and I'd really like to take back the control in my life. But I think that the 2-year mark was that gave me the time to build that confidence that I needed in order to be able to move through the next part of my life without that fear that I might relapse. And that fear is still there, and it's a very real fear, but I have that confidence in those tools now that I can use that I don't think I would have been able to if I didn't take that time that I needed in order to learn what I needed to learn. Because me, I like knowledge. If you can explain something to me and I can retain that information, then maybe I stand a chance, right? And I think that a lot of times that's you know, I'll always be an addict, and I recognize that, but I don't have to be in active addiction anymore. And the longer I'm out of active addiction, the better my life gets. Uh, I'm able to pay off debt now. I've gone back to work. I've just purchased a truck, and it's new to me. It's not a beautiful truck or anything, but it's going to take some fixing up. And that's another thing is that I get to spend my quality time now doing things that I used to enjoy, like building a new truck or working on my yard or building the wife a greenhouse, things like that. So, don't look at Suboxone as being a long-term solution, but if you need it for a year or two to really wrap your head around recovery, then I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Something that I've seen people doing is staying in this perpetual state of suffering because they can't take that plunge of getting off Suboxone. And when they do, they try all these different things in order to lessen the withdrawal. And I'm here to tell you that getting off Suboxone at some point is gonna suck, and it's no different than just dipping your toe in that cold water. Um, all you're doing is suffering and hurting yourself. You need to just dive in and do it. I cut down to 2 milligrams and then went through 6 weeks of I was so uncomfortable with my own body. I hated every minute of it for about 6 weeks, especially the first 5, 6 days being the absolute worst, right? But it's 3 months later or 4 months later, and I've completely regained my life. And I feel amazing. I've started exercising, working out. Um, I work, I eat healthy. And as much as those first few days of getting off Suboxone suck, I am so incredibly thankful that I found the strength to do it. And I see videos of people that were tapering back when I was tapering, and they're still tapering and they're still suffering. And my heart goes out to them because they don't need to be. They just need to take that plunge. And, I hope that they can find the strength to do that. I don't know. Later.